DSPN, the Devlin Sports Podcast Network.
I look at the draw now for the Warriors, and I know, this is the danger time, isn't it, where you start looking ahead and you're thinking, oh, that's an easy game, that's an easy game. Look, none of these are easy games. You earn your 10 wins. I acknowledge that. The bye followed by the Panthers at home, and this is a Panthers side where they've got a lot of guys from Origin. If they're coming from Perth, remember, which is a hell of a long way to come for that game. Then the Broncos away. Other than that, the Bulldogs, which is shaping up to be a huge match in round 23, every other team, if I ran them through you, Tigers, Knights, Titans, Dolphins, Dragons, Titans, Eels, Manly, these are all teams that have been beaten before. These are all games that when you look at the points table, you look at the way the Warriors are playing, should be won. I don't want to get too far ahead of myself, but I'm looking at it going, I can't see the Warriors not being in the top four when I look at that draw.
Yeah, it's a healthy end to the season, but one that I guess you tread very lightly. It's a potential banana skin games. When you look at the Dolphins, what they did last weekend,
yeah, true.
They've got so many points in them, but they're just fluctuating. You look at the Roosters, you look at Cronulla, who was supposed to be a top four side, who got beaten, So you've got sides who can really turn the dial, and they've got a lot of threat, but they're just inconsistent. So when they do turn the dial, then they've got points in them. They can change the game completely. So, but the Warriors, it doesn't matter with the Warriors because they're so consistent. They are so consistent. They'll do what they've done all the way through the season by minimising their errors, by being consistent around their completion rate, by minimising yards conceded, not giving away so many penalties. So that doesn't change. They're dictating terms, I think, where they need to be, and that's what's so freaking cool about what the Warriors are doing now. They are dictating terms. You know that you're going to come with the game, and they're not going to take the foot off the pedal. They had a little bit of second half syndrome a week ago until they thrashed Cronulla, but that's normal for sides to have that fluctuation. But it's not as the heightened as we've seen for most of the teams. So the bridge between their attack and defence is starting to work nicely.
I watch your analysis when you're doing it for Sky as well. And when you're watching the games on TV, how different is it for you as a past player with all your experience watching it in real life? I know when I talk to a lot of the rugby guys, Murray Mexted, for example, he just says it's almost impossible to seriously analyse a game when you're looking at a screen as opposed to the TV and you can see the whole chessboard. Do you find that as well? Because my next question follows on from that.
Jeez, it is so different, right? I sit there in games where I used to watch the analysis on it, and you go, well, why aren't they talking about this? Why aren't they talking about the wingers crabbing and jamming in? Why aren't they talking about this? And when you look back in your comforts and you're seeing it, it is quite a different worldview from sitting in your couch, to be honest.
Okay.
And so it is so different. I take that, and I actually like the fact that I'm not on it sometimes, where I can reflect and sort of look at it a different way.
Okay. Because my next question is going to be, when you're watching it on the big field, what are you seeing that wasn't happening against Canberra, where we were getting stuck in our own 20-metre line, but we seem to be more dominant up this end of the field now? What are you seeing, the way it's spread, the way we're attacking, a couple of things that stick out to you?
Yeah, I think at times where pedestrian coming out of the red zone, there is some spots out in the edges when they cram in. So some of the defence is really crammed in to really make it hard for you to get out. If they could open their mind a little bit wider and draw their attack a little bit wider, they can really stretch the defence and get easy yards. And it depends how who they're playing and how the game evolves, to be honest. It's a really adaptability and how every player it's not up to the 6 and 7, it's actually up to the outside backs to read it. They need to be calling inside to open our 6 and 7's eyes to call a play if they see it, and it's not up to just the two players. And that comes with a lot of experience, it comes with a lot of IQ, but I think there's so much that the Warriors can take from it. But I'm seeing a side where there is more attack in the side because their belief is starting to build as well.
And how important is it too obvious a question, more players in motion? That's what I'm kind of detecting over the last few weeks, that when we're attacking, we've got more guys moving, and whether or not that's decoy runners or whatever, but it just seems that there's a lot of guys now following that ball in certain situations on the field. which is obviously tactical.
Yeah, there is. They're hunting. They're staying up in the zone where they're supporting players. So if there's any decoys, they're really pushing up on it. We've seen tries this year, a number of tries actually, where Metcalf would take an inside pass from Aaron Clark and he'd go off and then Schnell's inside him. It used to be the old Melbourne side, right? Inside, the outside inside pass,
and
then
come
you've
back
got the
this way.
whole
Yeah.
So that's exactly what the Warriors are now considering looking at, and they're playing very much walk towards the post mentality. It's the old Terry Lamb's theory.
I like that.
Where you
I'm
just
going to write that
always
down.
walk up towards the
Yep.
And so that's exactly what they're doing. And I think when I look at Sam Healy, the way he plays, he's always at the advantage line. He crabs out and then he plays at the line. He's searching around, takes the right options, or just keeps running. There could be a lot to play off the hooking roles, such as Wayde Egan. There is a lot more that they can get from Wayde Egan than which is where it all starts, right? The line speed, and then quick play the balls, and then working off the number 9.
I got to tell you this story as well, and I've talked about it on the podcast, but I just wanted to. So when the team went off to Sydney to play the Rabbits, I just happened to be with my partner catching a flight to Sydney the same day. And so where I was sitting on the aisle here, Andrew Webster was right here. And he got out his laptop halfway through the flight, and I was just fascinated. And I'm not talking out of school here, but he had his laptop open. He had the field divided into grids, into squares, right, which obviously is just some kind of computer program. And the footage was all of a drone. So it wasn't what we see on TV. It was all up here looking down. And he spent well over an hour and just watching play. And it was the Rabbits he's analysing play after play, where they were in different parts of the field, what they were attacking, how many players were there, who was the guy that was taking the first hit, and then flipping it around in defence as well. So when the other team, I don't know what team it was attacking, how they set up in defence, who they committed over here. And it was just... It was intense and it was so thorough, Richie. And I was just spending the whole time looking at him. I was not over his shoulder or anything because he's such a lovely guy, Andrew. But I was looking at him just going, wow. And obviously you do this for every single game, and you do it for more than just an hour on a plane.
And you believe it. Can you believe where they're going? I remember when I was the Kiwi. I forgot what it was called. I was what it was called. Doing some stuff for the Kiwis. And they've got a program where you can go in and have a look at each individual player, like passing right to left, and you can put a name in and figure out how good he is with right to left passes.
Crazy.
So you can go on each player and do that. So that's the level of which they can go to.
Yeah,
but I love the fact where it's incredible. And now they can go on and look at those portions, obviously the train lines of how people play. So who are they isolating? Who are they working to? Mm-hmm. Who are they trying to draw in and squeeze the defence, so then they can open up on the blind side and see if they can really engage. Line engaging.
Yeah. Because
there's so many players that can line engage now better than anyone. Cartel is one of them. He's just next level from Dolphins.
Fantastic player, yeah.
It's unbelievable what that kid can do. So line engagement late and then deliver that pass. Lachlan did it last night where he was so direct and square, but it was that lovely pass out, that delayed pass, which is it's an incredible gift.
And I was looking at the grid and watching and thinking while I was watching it, okay, well, these players here are just slightly, and there's the gap there. And I don't know whether Andrew was doing the same thing. But yeah, it was just amazing to look at, and just to me, just at that level of obviously what you have to do to apply yourself and actually look at. A couple of quick questions before we go. So from here, 9 wins last year, and there's a whole lot of narrow losses. Those narrow losses have now been converted into wins. That's been a key, hasn't it? Because when you look at 4 or 5 wins, all under 6 points, those are the wins that propel you into a top 4 position.
Yeah, it is. It is their identity again, that they're going to keep going to the very end, and that is it. And they may win games or not, but what they're doing is incredible. It's an identity that they've favoured very nicely, and they're harvesting and they're building upon. Last week was another level. They've saying, well, we're not going to just finish in the first half and then dwindle in the second. We're going to a whole new level. You know, that energy level that is deserted, we've got to lift it up a little bit more so we can not allow the opposition to come into play anymore.
What happens from here, Richie? I mean, how does this all unfold from here, mate? With 11 games to go after being 13, now 10-3 after 13.
You know what? It's hard for me to go against them because I did against Cronulla, I did against the Roosters. And I really thought that Cronulla was going to have a ride because that's just what the nature of the game is. They have rides and flows and that, and I thought Cronulla would. But then you go, not against the Warriors. They're the real deal. They really are. I can't go against them anymore because they're that good.